Good evening. You're listening to Rank You and Goodnight. We rank the studio albums of your favorite bands. In tonight's episode, we'll be ranking the albums of the one and only Eagles. My name's Nick, joined by my wonderful host, Zach. Take it away, Zach.
All right. Thanks, Nick. I'm just going to explain our podcast a little bit and how we got to where we are right now. And what it started with is like a year ago or so, I wanted to listen to all of Pink Floyd's albums and rank them from my favorite to least favorite. And Nick said that he'd do that with me. And then afterwards, we compared our different lists. And then from there on out, he wanted to do Radiohead.
Yep.
And I didn't listen to them a whole lot before then, so I was just kind of like, yeah, I'll do it with you too. And then from there on out, we just started doing other bands and artists, and we just been kind of going back and forth with who chooses.
Right, we alternated between bands, so we get an equal amount of... one of us is usually a bigger fan of the band than the other.
Yeah, and there'll probably be some that will never end up on this podcast because
that's a fact.
Bad choices, mostly made by me. But
I've had my share too.
But then Nick told me about 3 or 4 months ago that somebody he knows said that it'd be cool to see this as a blog or a podcast, and we both go to the same college, and I was taking a class there, and we had to use podcast as a form to get like information out there and stuff. So I decided we might as well do this, seeing that I have the background knowledge to do it. And then from there on out, we bought the supplies, which took a while because I procrastinate. And now we're actually getting to filming it, which is pretty big because there's some people out there that just assumed it was never going to happen.
The naysayers. My parents, my sister, all of my close relatives.
And so now we're finally here to do it, and we hope you guys enjoy. As Nick said, tonight we're going to be doing the Eagles. And if you guys don't really know who they are, they're a southern rock band, kind of soft rock country feel. And
California.
Yeah, they formed in 1971 in Los Angeles, California, and they've been a pretty popular American band. A lot of people like them. I thought it was kind of a safe bet for us to start off this podcast with. And
something a lot of people like, yeah.
Yeah. Except for The Big Lebowski, if you guys have seen that movie. The dude. And so we hope you guys enjoy. All right, so to start off with, the Eagles have a total of 7 studio albums that we'll be ranking today. And so we're going to start off with number 7. We're going to work with our least favorite to our most favorite, kind of keep things interesting. And so what I had for number 7 was The Long Run. It's I like the album overall, and here I'm not going to be hating on any of the Eagles albums. I enjoyed them all, just so you all know. It's just...
As do I, yeah.
Yeah, we had to rank them. So, I mean, just because
someone's got to be last.
Yeah, someone's got to be last. Nice guys finished last. But so on it, the songs I really liked was The Long Run. I can't tell you why. In the City, Heartache Tonight, Those Shoes, and The Sad Cafe. And as you might have realized, that's actually like a lot of the songs on the album as a whole. But there's just a few in there that I like, but just they didn't stand out to me enough to rank this album a little bit higher, so that's why for me it sits where it sits. So
any thoughts on the Disco Strangler?
The Disco Strangler, I actually, now that you mentioned that, is kind of one of the songs I did like a lot.
Yeah,
I like the beat of it a lot. And
yeah, I was listening to it this morning because I remember the first time we listened to this, I really liked that song, but it does have a really nice beat, but something about like the lyrics just don't really fit to me on that one. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that song.
Yeah, I get what you mean. For the most part, I like the song as a whole. I don't think there's really anything that brings it down, kind of, or makes it seem strange. But I mean, everybody has their own opinions.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those. I guess I kind of also like The Greeks Don't Want No Freaks, but
cool title.
Yeah, It's out there. It's out there. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's mostly what I liked. I think my favorite song off the whole album would probably have to be The Sad Cafe, I think. I don't know why, but I've just always liked that song. So
All right.
that's what I'd have to say. So what was your number 7, Nick?
My number 7 pick, Zach, was The Long Road Out of Eden, which is their latest studio album, all the way from 2007. No song on here particularly sticks out to me as being my favorite or least favorite. I didn't particularly like the album because it just felt too long to me. All of the Eagles' previous albums are usually around like the 40-minute to an hour mark. So it was bizarre to me that they released an album that's an hour and 30 minutes. So I feel like halfway through I kind of got bored with it. As I said, none of the songs particularly stand out to me. It's not a bad album by any means, in my opinion. It's just, it doesn't have like the same appeal as like some of the singles on their other albums overall. Yeah.
So you're saying none of the songs at all stood out to you?
Not really. I mean, they there's so many on this album that they all just kind of seem to lump together for me.
Yeah, I get that. And I think I saw one on this album that was like 7 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I know you're kind of not the one for...
I'm not the biggest fan. I like my songs 5 minutes or less. I'm that type of guy.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely get that. I mean, I do prefer some of the length a little bit more when it comes to songs. So to each their own, but...
Not that there's anything wrong either with just long albums in general, but I think I have to like really like the songs in order for it to be that long, and like overall just none of them particularly stand out to me.
Do you think if you spent a little bit more time listening to this album,
that's true
would
too,
it grow on you a little bit more?
That usually does happen too. I mean, I've only listened to it like 1 or 2 times. But then again, though, I've only really listened to the other Eagles albums 1 or 2 times. So this is a very like first impression-y type viewpoint for me. I know that differs for you because you're a bigger fan of the Eagles than I am. So maybe I will have to give it a second shot. Maybe I would like it more. Maybe it'd go up higher on my list, some lower. But
I think the thing of this album that might have put it so low for you is that a lot of their past songs were past albums were in their prime time when they were more of a bigger band.
Right.
And
in the 1970s.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of those songs from those albums ended up on their 2 greatest hits albums, which, as I'm sure most of you know, is like, I think it's like one of the highest selling albums of all time.
I don't know if it still is, but at one point it actually passed Thriller. I think one of the greatest hits albums is like the most like sold album of all time, which is crazy.
Yeah, I know my junior year of high school consisted a lot of just having those 2 CDs in my truck and switching them in and out.
Nice.
And listening to them a lot. So that's why a lot of the older stuff kind of is higher up on my list. So
yeah. But much like Zach, though, I don't dislike any particular album in general, especially not this one. I just think it's okay. I would never like listen to this though in my spare time, really. But I should give it a second chance, though.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good, Nick. We're going to move on next to our
number 6
position. All right. So my number 6 pick was On the Border. And like the last one, this was an album I did enjoy. And a few of the songs that I actually liked on it were Already Gone, You Never Cry Like a Lover, Midnight Flyer, My Man, Old 55, Is It True, and The Best of My Love. And I'd have to say that probably my favorite on there is Midnight Flyer. I don't know why, but I mean the song's
That's
just
a good song.
pretty energetic, and it just, I don't know, it's fun to listen to. And I don't really have a lot to say about this album. I mean, as of this morning, it was higher up on my list, but then I moved it down because I was re-listening to stuff. And so, I mean, originally it was higher when we did this like almost a whole year ago, but But yeah, was you got anything to say about my pick or
No, I think you put it in a good spot.
you do?
As we'll see soon, I have it in a similar placement. I think that's a pretty good album.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
It's got some good singles.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, what was your number 6 then?
My number 6 pick, Zach, was their self-titled album, just known as Eagles, from 1972. Some of my favorite songs on this album are "Take It Easy," "Witchy Woman" is pretty good, "Nightingale," "Peaceful Easy Feeling," which is probably my favorite favorite song on the album, excuse me, and "Tryin'" I really liked.
Yeah, those are really good songs. I noticed that you didn't say "The Train Leaves Tomorrow" is one of your favorites.
Is that one of your
yeah,
favorites?
Nick, what's wrong with that song, huh?
It's good, I wouldn't call it my favorite, but
all right, yeah, that's fair. I mean,
yeah. I mean, overall, I do really like this album. Like "Take It Easy," I think is like a classic Eagles song.
Oh yeah, definitely.
"Peaceful Easy Feeling" I really liked, but just overall, I just wouldn't put it as my favorite. I mean, I have it in the 6th spot. I think it's still a really good album. Trying to think, decent length. It's only 37 minutes, actually less than 40 minutes. Helpful for me because I'm always in that hurry. Yeah.
I think it's a good album to start off with. If
Yeah.
you like the Eagles, it's definitely it's a safe bet. Isn't that their debut album?
It is their debut. And
Yeah.
a very strong debut album.
I wouldn't call it like Pearl Jam's 10th debut.
No.
But I mean, it's a strong debut album in my opinion. I like it a lot.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't. I think it's interesting that like their style on this album they maintained for like most of their career too. So it like shows like they didn't really like. I feel like with a lot of bands, like their later albums are so different from their first album.
Oh yeah.
But with the Eagles, they really didn't change it up, and that's not a negative in their case because they found a formula that worked really well for them.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I feel like theirs was a lot different from the time of what like they started up with, but I mean, they only have 7 albums, so it's not like the Beatles or Pink Floyd where you see a lot drastic of change.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are span over years, so I mean, you're gonna see a lot of changes in their style and
that's true because the Long Run Out of Eden came out in 2007, but before that, their last album was The Long Run, which was in 1979. So their studio albums only span 5 years, 1972 to 1979. So
yeah.
And within that time, they released some damn good albums.
That is true, but even the one that came out not too long ago, like 13 years ago or so, was still, in my opinion, pretty true to the original sound.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that all those years later, they still come back at us with that same Eagle sound that we know and love. And you have anything else to say? No?
Solid album.
Then we're going to move on to our number 5 pick.
Let's do it.
All right, so for my number 5 pick, I chose Long Road Out of Eden. This is going to be an interesting album to talk about because, fun fact, this morning was my first time ever listening to it. Because when we first went through about a year ago and listened to all their albums, I didn't realize that this album existed. And then I didn't find out until Nick sent me his list, and his had more albums than mine. And then when I found out that it was like an hour and a half long, at that point I was just kind of like,
yeah, just forget about it.
I was like, forget about it. I'm like, I did my list. It's done. It's over with. It's whatever.
Set in stone.
And then I actually listened to it this morning, and it's actually a very good album, in my personal opinion, which is kind of why I was kind of asking Nick questions about it, because
I put it as my least.
It deserves justice. And
well,
songs that stuck out to me on this album are "What Do I Do With My Heart," "Waiting in the Weeds," and "Long Road Out of Eden." And I'm sure there's more, but since this was my first time ever listening to it, this morning I was like showering, cooking, doing all this different stuff while listening to it. So I didn't get a chance to look at each song that came up and what the title was. So there was a lot on here that I actually liked a lot. Like the overall album, I really liked. And I don't know if it's just because it was something new, because I've just been listening to the same old past albums. And so that it was the same Eagles sound, but it was just new lyrics, new music, and that it was something just new and exciting to me. But that's why I really like this one a lot. And then this is actually what pushed down my last choice down, is because I had to make room for this album here.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point of, with long albums, it helps to be doing something while you're listening to it. Like, I'm pretty sure when I listened to The Long Road Out of Eden, I don't think I was doing anything really. Like, I think I was literally just listening to the album. So I feel like with those, it like helps to be actually like doing something while you listen to it. Probably does make it feel like more natural. And again, I guess we differ on, like, I think longer albums to you are like less of a hindrance than they are to me. So maybe I should start doing things when I listen to long albums. But yeah, so overall though, you're not bothered by the length at all.
Yeah, no, the length doesn't bother me. And like you said, like I said and you said, I was doing stuff while listening to it, so
that
I wasn't
probably
just
helps.
spending just all my energy listening to it, and because I had to get stuff going so we could actually finally film this podcast.
Yeah.
Or record it this morning, so that's why I was doing stuff as I went along, so I could get things moving faster. But I mean, album length doesn't usually bother me. As you know, I'm a Pink Floyd man.
He's
myself.
a patient man.
So I have lots of time on my hands, and I just love long albums. I love long songs. So, I mean, there's a few on here, like I mentioned before, that are like 7 minutes long.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't bother me. So that's why I feel like this album ranked higher for me than it did for you.
Yeah, most likely.
Length can be an issue. So what was your number 5?
My number 5 pick, Zach, was On the Border from 1974, which was your number 6 pick, I believe.
Yes, that was my number 6.
Again, a lot of my favorite songs are similar to yours. I really like Already Gone, Midnight Flyer, and probably my favorite is The Best of My Love. It's a classic.
That is a classic song. I do like that one a lot.
None particularly stand out to me as like my least favorite by any means, but those 3 definitely stand out the most to me.
I can tell you one on that album that I didn't mention when I was talking about, but I don't know why, but I just really don't like James Dean.
James Dean.
Like, I have nothing against the actual man,
right?
But the song, I don't know why, but I just don't care for it. I usually skip right over it. So.
Yeah. Do you prefer more of their upbeat songs, or do you prefer more of like their slower, like kind of more methodic songs overall? Because I feel like because some of their albums definitely differ in like the type of style of like the more sadder, slow songs versus like the more upbeat, like rock songs. Like overall, I think I prefer the more up-tempo rock songs, which is why I won't spoil the album, but which is why I place one of really high, because it has that more type of feel to it. But what are your thoughts on that?
That's kind of hard, because I mean, it really depends on the day. I mean, if I'm trying to like be productive, have a good day, and be happy, I'm definitely gonna play a lot more of their upbeat, happier songs. But I mean, like, if there's days where it's feeling slow and gloomy, I might listen to a little bit more of their little low key songs.
Yeah,
where they're a little bit more slower and might be a little bit more sadder. But I mean, I don't think I really prefer either or. It's just kind of how I'm feeling, depending on the mood.
Understandable.
Yeah. And you have anything else to say about your number 5?
I don't think so. Overall, again, a good album. Got a lot of classic hits on there, but I just would prefer listening to the other albums over this one.
Yeah, I get that. There's definitely some albums I do prefer, and as well, that's kind of the whole point of
Right.
this podcast is picking those ones out. But we'll move on more to the next, and we'll move on to our number 4 if you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sweet. Okay, so for my number 4 pick, I chose the Eagles. And as I mentioned before, it's a very strong debut album, in my opinion. The songs that stuck out to me are kind of the same with Nick here. It was Take It Easy, Witchy Woman, Most of Us Are Sad, Nightingale, Train Leaves Here This Morning, which apparently didn't stick out to Nick. And I liked Early Bird and Peaceful Easy Feeling. I don't really have a lot to say about this album other than that I think it's a good debut album, obviously because I put it at number 4, but I like it a lot and it has a lot of their good hits on it, and it's just I like it. I enjoy listening to it, and it's just overall a good album.
Nice.
Anything you already said your
Yeah.
thoughts about it. We already know that. So, what was your number 4 pick, Nick?
My number 4 pick, Zach, is One of These Nights, a classic, I will say, even though it's only at my number 4, but still, I do really like this album a lot. Songs that particularly stand out to me as being really good. One of These Nights, Lion Eyes, I really like, and Take It to the Limit. My favorite, probably a toss-up between Take It to the Limit and One of These Nights. Take It to the Limit, I kind of have, like, I feel like that was one of, like, the first Eagles songs I had ever heard when I was, like, probably, like, 8 or so. Because I definitely do remember listening to this band a lot as a kid, because I think my dad's a big fan of the Eagles. And I just remember, like, specifically the song Take It to the Limit, hearing that song a lot. So, like, that one kind of has, like, a special place in my heart. But, yeah, One of These Nights is just, I think it's a really good album. It has a lot of their singles on it. Yeah, good, nice short length for me, only 43 minutes. An important, an important attribute for me. Not really, I don't mind it too much, but yeah, that's about all I got to say for One of These Nights. Just solid record.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. And which one did you say was your favorite again?
Probably either One of These Nights or Take It to the Limit. Maybe Take It to the Limit just by like a little bit, just because it kind of has that like nostalgic.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I definitely feel like that was one of the first songs I've also heard too. So I get where you're coming from with that, and I guess that's all I really have to say about this album too. So that was our number 4 picks. It was a little short, but I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know how to explain it, but it belongs there.
Just trust us. Just trust us.
Yeah, we trust us. So we're gonna move on to our number 3 picks. So we're getting a little close towards the end here. So
yeah,
hope you guys
get into
enjoy.
the nitty gritty.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our number 3 picks right now, and this is gonna get a little repetitive here towards the end.
Yeah,
and it might get a little bit shorter because some of these we've already talked about. But my number 3 pick has to be One of These Nights, which Nick literally just talked about, and I talked about it a little bit with him. So this might be a little short, but my favorites off of this is One of These Nights. Obviously, that's a given.
class.
And Lion Eyes, Take It to the Limit, and After the Thrill Is Gone are kind of my favorite songs off that album. I think, honestly, Lion Eyes might be my most favorite. But, I mean, though I didn't mention all the songs, and it kind of seems like I probably mentioned fewer songs than albums I've ranked lower, because it's not really all about how many songs stand out to me personally is how I rank them. It's kind of more of how each individual song is. Like, they more might stand out, but they might not have as much of an effect or impact on me, if you guys kind of understand what I mean by that. I guess it's more just kind of like a personal experience with the song, and
right,
everybody will interpret it differently and all this stuff. So that's kind of how I end up ranking this one. so highly, even though I only picked out a few that I really liked.
Yeah, sometimes, like I'll put an album that has less songs that I like on it above one that I have more songs, just because the album has like a better flow to it, or like the songs just kind of fit a theme better than another song that may like just have more hits.
All right. Yeah, I totally get what you mean.
That type of feel.
Yeah, that type of feel. So, what was your number 3 pick, Nick?
My number 3 pick, Zach, was Desperado. Again, not a lot to say on this one. It's just a good album. My favorite songs from this are Desperado, Tequila Sunrise, and Doolin Dalton are probably my favorite. My probably favorite of like those though would be Desperado. I think it's just a beautiful song. And even though I kind of more like the more rock influenced songs, I think that even though Desperado is like a pretty slow song, I think it's just like so beautiful to like it just has to be my favorite. Tequila Sunrise though is also quite good. Yeah, that's about all I have to say for Desperado.
Yeah,
Not a ton to say,
that's
though.
a good pick. I mean, I like that album a lot, and I definitely feel like it has like a outlaw, more country kind of western feel to the whole album.
Like 21's a very like country-esque song, and even though I don't usually listen to country very much, like I still like that song a lot too.
Yeah.
Short, but
yeah, short, because that's how you gotta have it. But yeah, that's a good pick, I think, for number 3, in my personal opinion. So
yeah.
Well, I know this was also a little short, but that's because Nick already talked about my album.
Right.
And so we're going to move on to our number 2 picks now. And
Yes.
hope you guys enjoy. All right, so now we're moving on to our number 2 picks. And like I said before, it's going to get a little repetitive. My number 2, hands down, Desperado. I love this album. And it was kind of hard because I kind of thought about putting it number 1, but
That good, huh?
we'll get there. We'll understand why it didn't make number 1. But honestly, I don't think there's a single song on here I don't care for at all. I mean, I don't know why I like it so much. I kind of like it because it feels a little bit more musically strong, if you get what I'm saying. Because like in here, they obviously have Doolin Dalton, which was one of my favorite songs. But then they also have like an instrumental version, and then later down the road they have a Doolin Dalton / Desperado reprise. So it's kind of like seems a little bit more musically like strong, kind of album wise. But I mean, my favorite on this album, honestly, I don't even think I could pick a favorite song off this album. I just like
it's
the
like
whole
choosing your favorite child.
Okay, that's possible. I don't have kids, but I know it's possible. But I don't know. I can't pick like maybe Doolin Dalton, maybe Desperado, maybe even Tequila Sunrise. I'll put it up to those 3. We'll stick with that. Those we'll go with that.
All right.
And I don't know. I just like it. I guess maybe because it's like we said earlier, it's a little bit more country feel, and
Right.
I actually really like country for the most part, unlike Nick here.
Certain other people.
But I don't know. It's a great album, and I love it. So,
all right.
What do you got for your number 2 pick, Nick?
For my number 2 pick, Zach, I have the one and only The Long Run, which you put as last, which is questionable in my opinion. Me putting as my number 2 pick.
Had to be done. I'm sorry.
I think a lot of the reason why I like The Long Run so much is because I really like the song In the City. Quite possibly, like, for as good as the song Hotel California is like as iconic as that song is, I think In the City like holds its own. Like, I don't know, something about that song, like it's so catchy. In the city. It's beautiful. Don Henley or Glenn Frey or whoever sings that song. I think it's Don Henley.
It might not even be those 2, because let's be real.
It could be any, because they all sing.
All of them sang. So, I mean, at that point, it's kind of, it could have been anyone. But
whoever sings it, they did a great job.
You know what? I totally stand with you on, I mean, as the album as a whole, I like it. It's obviously not my favorite because, as you mentioned, it was my last. But In the City, I will agree with you. It is a very good song, and it definitely does hold its own. And I don't know what it is about it either, but I mean, I like it.
Yeah. Honestly, this should just be In the City. Just like puts that album like up there so much for me. Like, I don't know. I just really like that theme of like, not being able to get out of the city. I can't even really relate to it too much because like where we're from, it's not like we're from like New York City or like, and that's what whenever I listen to that song, I always picture like New York City for some reason, even though since they're from California, I imagine it's more based on like Los Angeles if I had to guess.
Yeah,
but
I'd assume that. Yeah.
I suppose it doesn't, like any like urban area, it always just pictured in my mind. And like, I don't know, I just really like that theme of like, when you're down, that's where you'll stay. Like, I don't know, I just can't even, for some reason I really like it, even though I don't really identify too much with it. Other songs I like, Heartache Tonight's really good. As you said, The Greeks Don't Want No Freaks. And as I talked about earlier, I really like the beat of the Disco Strangler, but lyrics wise, I always thought that one was a little bit weird. But yeah, The Long Run, classic in my opinion. Not maybe so much a classic in Zach's opinion, but
what about Those Shoes? Do you like that song a lot?
Those Shoes?
I like that song quite a bit.
Yeah, that one's alright.
I just kind of like, I don't even know how to explain it. Just kind of like the intro. It's a little bit more different from their style.
Yeah.
I know we talk about how they usually stay like in their lane, but I feel like with that song it was just a little bit more
out there
wise, and I like that one a lot too.
I'd also like to mention that originally when we first listened to all these albums, I put The Long Run as my number one, but that changed after some rethinking because our number one pick, if you haven't guessed, me and Zach both have the same pick, which we'll get to in 1 second.
We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. But yeah, The Long Run, my number two pick.
Number two. I can't believe it. Should have been Desperado.
Questionable.
I don't think so, but we're going to move right on to our number one. So I'm sure you guys already know what it is, but hopefully you'll be just as excited as we are. Okay, so for our number one pick, for both of us, as all of you may already know, or probably thinking right from the start this would be number one, was Hotel California.
Hotel California. What can you say about that record that hasn't already been said?
That's kind of a fact.
Right?
I mean, I feel like it's a very iconic album, and if the album you don't see as iconic, the song itself, Hotel California.
Yeah, who doesn't know that song?
Is extremely iconic. I don't think I've ever met anyone that says they don't like Hotel California.
No.
But I thought the same about Africa by Toto, and I was wrong. So, I mean,
you know people who don't like Africa by Toto?
Yeah, I did like a Twitter poll about it, and not many people answered, but there were quite a few who said they didn't like it. And
what is wrong with those people?
Yeah, but we're not talking about Africa by Toto right now. This isn't about them. But I mean, I think all the songs on it I pretty much like. The only one I don't really care for is Pretty Maids All in a Row, but overall, you can't really complain. I mean, it's a very good album.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite, probably, from the...
My favorite? I don't even know. That's very hard.
I feel like for me, it differs between... Or I should say varies between New Kid in Town and Hotel California. I don't know. I just really like both those songs.
Yeah.
Life in the Fast Lane and Wasted Time are also quite good.
I definitely feel like... I don't even know. That's definitely a hard one, just because, like I said, Hotel California is such a great song. But then the whole album, it's kind of like with Desperado. I can't really choose a favorite song. It's a little tough there, Nick.
We hit you with the hard questions on this podcast.
Only hard-hitting questions. Joe Rogan has nothing on us. Honestly, it might have to be Hotel California. I definitely do like Wasted Time a lot, but I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I just like the concept of it, I guess. I mean, I feel like that's more of like a when you're older kind of thing where you can feel like there's been wasted time. But I mean, I'm 21, so can't say I've really wasted much so far.
We've got a lot more years to go.
I hope I have a lot more years to go.
At least hopefully.
But yeah, and Life in the Fast Lane, I mean, that's a cool song.
Yeah, that's
I like
so
that
true.
one.
Nothing like quite like driving to that song with like some sunglasses on, like during the summer.
I definitely feel like that's a song I'd get a speeding ticket to.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's just one of those songs where it just amps you up and you're just going.
Mm-hmm. Dangerous to drive to.
You're in the fast lane. You're just going. But, I mean, even Victim of Love is a good song. In my opinion. And same with Try Love Again. That's a good one, too. So, you can't complain. Can't complain. It's a good album, people.
Yeah. Give it a listen if you haven't.
Yeah, if you haven't,
if you haven't, what's wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? I feel like that one Dr. Phil. We're not going to say
I was just thinking.
But we're all thinking it.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say about it. Do you have anything else to say about this glorious American-made album?
No, I think you've basically covered it. I just think it's pretty close to perfect, honestly. Like, you can't really get more classic rock 1970s type feel with any other album, unless you're looking like Pink Floyd or something. But
yeah, that's true. That's true. It's a great album, people. You gotta believe us, and I mean, yeah, that's all we gotta say.
Yeah,
that's all we have for this show today. I mean,
I'd like to make a quick correction to my number 2 pick. I said that Don Henley sang In the City. It's actually Joe Walsh.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I apologize to Joe Walsh. Banger song. It's up there with your other song, Life's Been Good to Me So Far. Another.
That is a
I'm
good
just a
song.
fan of Joe Walsh's songs, I guess.
Yeah.
That one's really good, too.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you made that correction.
Sorry.
Correction I want to make is earlier, I probably said we're finally getting around to filming this podcast. There was no filming done. It was recording. It's what happens.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was going to get a lot of hate mail about that.
It's our first time.
How dare you say
We're
that?
doing this for fun. So
how dare you?
We hope you all enjoy. That's all we really have.
Thanks for
this show
listening to
today.
our opinions about
That's a fact.
2 20-year-olds, 21 and 20-year-olds.
We're just youngins, so take it easy on us.
Take it easy.
Yeah, there we go.
Full
circle. Full circle. But we hope you guys come in to our next podcast whenever we put that out.
Yeah, might be a little bit.
I don't know. We have to figure out what our next topic is going to be. So
please let us know how you would rank the 7 albums. Tell us what we were wrong about. Tell us what we were right about.
Yeah. Well, we have social media and all that. So, I mean,
yeah.
Since we're small, we'll respond because we have nothing else to do.
Yeah, we're not very pompous here.
So
critiques are always welcome.
All I have to say is rank you and good night.
And good night.